For we are poetry, and poetry deserves admiration, and poetry is beautiful, and we are poetry. As I stand right now in the here and now and wonder what it is that I can share that is of value, that lifts people's hearts when they feel sorrow, that helps people feel that the dawn is coming. And I guess I can spend a lot of time in my garden, and it's never really perfect, but then there's so many perfect moments. And I can't really measure that. It's just not measurable at all. It's only measurable by how I feel. And even then, that's transient. And I do hope that there are things in my life that can be shared in a way that's wholesome for others. Living in the suburbs has been hard for me. I grew up in a more rural-ish town when I was younger, which became much busier as I got older. And that's been hard, learning to adjust after going through such a difficult journey. I went through so much illness and so much turmoil, and it felt like it was pulling me apart in every way, like a flower losing all its petals. And I didn't really know how to get through. Some days and months I would spend watching light become dark and dark become light, and everything in between, from a bed in a high tower of a castle that I felt imprisoned by at times, as I did with my body. My body felt like a prison at times. But it's interesting what you can see when you look around from one spot, continuously watching everything around you change. The way people respond to you, the way people respond in their own lives, and they're too distracted to realize their own reactions are their own. When you stay still at the top of a castle, overseeing, day become night and night become day. It can be quite a sight. I prayed to my future self and asked her to show me in the now what that looks like. And I would often see a girl that looked like me, feeling carefree, shopping at some organic markets or buying groceries, holding fruits and vegetables and eating well. That was what helped me as an image. Every time I prayed to my future self, which is in the now, my higher self in the now. And I asked for healing for my past self in the now. It was hard. Sometimes I was so unwell that the idea of walking 10 steps somewhere was like running a marathon and swimming through wild seas just to have a shower, or just to do a simple thing like drink a sip of water. Felt like I was at sea, at the stormiest waters, and I I couldn't keep anything down. And yet I was laying in a bed on the top of a castle, overseeing the day become night and the night become day. And I saw so much beauty, and I saw so much sorrow. I laid at the bottom of the shower, sometimes for hours. I drifted off into many realms, well beyond most people's experience and past and future of the here and now. For most people are busy, living in the waking life, while I dreamt in the waking life and connected and weaved my dreams to all the other lives. And I would feel the water running over my very skinny body, curled up around on the bottom of the shower, hearing the waterfall and the water gather at the bottom, watching the water and the way it moves at the bottom of the shower, while I dreamed of a better life, a life of feeling better. And yet I'm so grateful for these experiences that I had, for they showed me well beyond me the magic of life, even though it took me to look like I was dying, for everyone around me to see me as sick, and for me to see life teeming with life. The paradox of experience. When one goes into a hole, one sees the light so much brighter when they come out, and everything has a deeper purpose and a deeper meaning and feeling. And I passed the time with prayer, for I could do nothing else at times. Other times I passed the time when I was well enough to write. Sometimes I just lay for hours and hours and days, praying in my head, and sometimes giving up. Sometimes I just let it totally take me over, like a wave that pulled me to the bottom of the ocean. And I lay lifeless at the bottom of the ocean, letting the creatures eat me, ravage me, and I just surrendered to it. Anyone outside of me could do as much as they pined to wish me well and to tell me that they wanted a better life for me. I experienced so many beautiful things, so many transient things. I was witnessing life in ways most people don't get the opportunity. And maybe you have to be at the twilight to see things in that way, to embrace things in such a pure way, to know things that aren't normally known in the day-to-day world of busyness. In all truth, I've lived like this, as I've spent a lot of time on my own in life, a lot of time without anyone who could save me, a lot of time where nobody knew what my troubles were. And I always found this to be kind of a comforting place. It was like a spacious realm where I could be with God and Goddess, a silent place filled with the sounds of nature, the smell of grass, the feeling of sorrow and bliss, and a deep gratefulness for I was being heard in my non-words, in my silence, and in my sobbing. I was being heard, always, by the infinite. There was never a time I was ever alone. And if I was alone, I was all one. Therefore I was heard, and every part of my being was being heard by me, the goddess and god of my own realm. And I recognize that all is right within my kingdom, regardless of how other people perceive my kingdom, regardless of how other people are willing to perceive me in my kingdom. The most important part was that I knew who I was, that it didn't matter how other people projected onto me or burned into me or cut into me with their words of misunderstanding, of all the different array of things that people do when they are attached to the waking dream and forget that they need to wake up within the dream for it to have the purpose of soul connection. I trust in who I am. I've had lots of practice, if practice is even a thing. Going through the darkness throughout my life, where other people looked like they were in sheer terror when they saw how unwell I was, and I would learn from how people responded to me and saw me as incomplete and unwhole, and it only made me commit to my wholeness. The beauty of me from their perspective wasn't there. They saw shattered pieces, but I saw an opportunity to recreate, to rebirth myself continuously in the here and now. And it's been hard. I live like this every day. And I know there are so many more like myself that have gone through this darkness, or this perceived darkness from the waking dream's perspective. When people are attached to one realm rather than recognizing the many, they see anything that's beyond their perception as broken or wrong or damaged or wounded or unwhole, and they feel they need to fix you. From their very compartmentalized perspectives, they feel like they have somehow the answer to your brokenness, which they can see. And you know well beyond. I know well beyond. I know well beyond my brokenness, even though at times it can consume me and it can be very difficult to take in. I still trust in the flame that I am. And it's what's guided me all this way. For I am a star embodied in what we perceive as flesh, burning brightly and going through many transitions and changes. And other people perceive those changes to be better or worse, or happy or sad, or light or dark, or any of those polarities, the degrees on the same timeline of someone's projection. But all I know is how I feel, and all of those things are just momentary temperature measurements based on their perception. And I recognize my true nature. And the more that I have maintained that connection to my true nature, the less other people's false natures mean anything to me. I continue to burn. I continue to fly. Every night in my dreams, every day in my waking dream, I fly. People don't see me because they need eyes to see. They need the eye to see, the eternal eye that sees through all of us, the one eye that sees through the many. And that is that. My life is like any other life, except I'm paying attention. And I recognize through my suffering, the realization of knowing when I am going through suffering instantly takes me out, up high in the castle, watching day become night and night become day, and I recognize that it's all an illusion, and it's all beautiful, and it's all terrible, and it's all magical. And when you go through such intense, deep suffering, as a human girl or a human boy, a human woman or a human man, or any creature or being upon the earth's expression of the many, it can be very, very challenging. And I just remind myself that I am the living flame, and we are all connected to the living flame, and that is the truth. And that is the truth.